guys, this is Corey and welcome to CNA Films and Animation. Today is Saturday and welcome to this week's episode of I Saw It on Netflix Saturday. Today's review is of a 1984 cult classic film that helped launch a movie production team into infamy, and that is CnAFilmsandAnimation, The Toxic Avenger. The Toxic Avenger is about a nerdy kid named Melvin who works at a gym as a mop boy, and when a group of punks decide to pull a prank on Melvin, Melvin jumps out of a window and lands in a bunch of toxic waste bins. The toxic waste causes him to be horribly disfigured, and through this radiation he becomes this creature known as the Toxic Avenger, who is kind of like this town's anti-hero. He fights crime against all the bad guys in the town, in this fictional town of Tromaville. So how was The Toxic Avenger? The Toxic Avenger is one of those movies that's a little hard to review, just because, I really, first off, this is a bad movie. It's just a bad movie. So I'm going to review this as, knowing that it's a bad movie. It's made to be bad. So, at times I really enjoyed this B-movie schlock, but at other times I felt very distant from everything that was going on. So, let me start with the acting. The acting in this film was very hard to read, at least for me. At times I felt like the acting in this movie was just flat out terrible, but then I started thinking, what if this is actually good acting disguised as bad acting? But then as the movie went on, I started to realize, no, it's just terrible acting. The writing in this film isn't great either. Now, I will say that the writing, the story itself was interesting enough. I don't think I've ever seen a film quite like this. It was interesting. But at the same time, it was riddled with terrible dialogue. But I would say that this was, aside from Superman and Superman 2, this was like one of the first superhero movies without it being actually a superhero movie. You've got the basic plot, I guess. A normal guy gets somehow attached with some kind of radioactive something and becomes something inhuman. So on a basis, it's kind of a superhero movie. And he does fight crime, so, it's kind of the B-movie superhero. It's kind of one of the first superhero B movies out there. Now, I did say that this movie was entertaining, and it was. I really had a good time with the a subplot in the film regarding the monster and a blind girl. I thought that was entertaining enough, and I really enjoyed the makeup in this film. It was makeup from the 80s. They didn't have CGI back then, so it's all practical effects, and I absolutely love practical special effects. But I did really enjoy the makeup in this film. I thought the makeup team in this film made a pretty interesting monster. Now, this film had two directors. The first director was Michael Hertz, and some of his previous works include Waitress, The Toxic Avenger, Part 2 and Part 3, and Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD. The second director in this film was Lloyd Kaufman, and some of his other works include Class of Nukem High, Tromeo and Juliet, Terror Firmer, and Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Overall, I would say that this film was one of those, it was so bad that it was entertaining. I wouldn't call it good, but I did enjoy myself watching it. It is a cult classic. It is one that I would say is, nowadays, it is kind of a classic. Granted, it's an underground classic, but it's, for a horror movie, for cult films, it's definitely one of the most well-known of Troma's films, as well as, just B movies in general. So For my personal opinion, my overall experiences with this film, I am going to say that I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. It's not a great film. It's definitely a B movie from the 80s, but, I think it has aged well. It's definitely a cult favorite. It's a cult classic now. And, if you haven't seen it, give it a shot. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. In fact, it's far from the worst thing I've ever seen. It's definitely entertaining, so I do recommend it. So, tell me guys, have you seen this film? If you have, what'd you think of it? If you haven't, do you want to see it? Also, I want to know, what is your favorite lower budget horror film from the 80s? Comment below and let me know. If you've liked this review, be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. I'm Corey, and I'll see you guys in the next one.